Good evening, everybody. We are live yet again. How are we all?
Yeah, really good. Thanks, you.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, good. Thanks. Good to be back. I feel like I've not seen you for ages, Jay.
I think we're just like ships in the night. So I had a week off in visiting Belfast, and then I heard that you were like clubbing or something, raving.
You could call it that. It was a country music festival, so not quite clubbing, but yeah, we'll go with that, mate.
Country music. I must admit, I didn't know you was into country music.
Yeah, I am, mate. So that's it's a little secret one for you guys. So
Is
it's
it?
a little country music fan, aye.
So did you have cowboy hat and all of that?
Believe it or not, I did get given a cowboy hat, but I did not wear it. That's taking it a bit too far, mate.
I've got to say, I would say it suits you.
I know, yeah, a 6'5" Woody.
It's when I put the boots and the chaps and everything on. That's when the problems start, mate.
I would say very village people.
there's a fine line there that you need to be very careful that you don't cross, I suppose, isn't there?
No, I say village people, and that's it.
Yeah,
you could be in Campus Christmas.
Well, that's true. Very true.
So yeah, that's where I was.
So you enjoyed the party, Ross? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good, mate. Actually, it was a full weekend, so it was great, to be honest. It's on every year. It's a festival I go to every year, but it's been cancelled the past 2 years. So this year was the first time I've been there. But yeah, it was really good, mate. So I missed the stream, unfortunately, but I think there was a bit of hilarity there, wasn't there?
I can't even remember it. There's so many weeks we've done now. I can't even remember what goes on in each one. But yeah, it's nice to get back to normal with all these events, and like obviously there was Crackner, lots of people gathered. Obviously your festival. It's good. It's good for have a bit of normality.
I know.
It's
nice. Back to normal. Steve sends his apologies. He's not able to join us tonight, so we'll miss him, I dare say. But it's just going to be the three of us tonight, so hopefully we'll be able to hold the fort okay.
I don't know, actually. He adds a lot to the stream, so I'm going to miss him tonight. But take care, mate. All the best.
Yep. So, Jay, I must say I like the red light. It's a good look.
I'm a bit worried. It's obviously there's the window there of my house.
The curtains open.
I've got to be careful. I might have, chance to be a fine thing, wouldn't it, really, at 40 years old?
Well, hey, you never know, mate. You never know.
That sounded desperate there. I've got a red light in the window, but nothing's going to happen.
Waving it.
Next he'll be telling us he's home alone for the weekend.
I'll change it to blue. No, not this weekend. No, I've changed it to blue now.
There you go, Jay. There's a comment there for you, mate.
There we go.
What does it say? Jay, you got your miss. Oh no, right. So this is an issue, right? So I always borrow my missus' laptop. It's really good at obviously live streaming. I've got a Chromebook. Not that anyone's interested, but I'm on my Chromebook tonight. So it will drop out after about 45 minutes, and then I'll have to reboot it. But yeah, the missus won't let me borrow us tonight. She's actually out. I didn't want to say that, but she's
there you go then. So the question is though, Jay, what's got the longer attention span, your Chromebook or you?
Definitely the Chromebook at 45 minutes. I think I'm like a 14-year-old teenager in year 9. Yeah. 2 minutes. 2 minutes attention span.
I'll tell you what gives it away in the window, because you've got the red light and then you've got the Lego tank.
Mm.
I know, yeah, that's doing pretty well.
That seals the deal, that doesn't it? The red light and the Lego tank.
I absolutely love that. It is ace. And you never get Coral Warfare. It's brilliant.
And a tank.
Did you get much algae, Jay?
Actually, no, not surprisingly. I've got way more algae
being close to the window.
Than here. What's that?
I just wondered about being close to the window.
Good point. Never put your tanks where it faces the sun. That is a good tip. Talking of tips, there's the first one.
There's another question here for you, Jay, from Portrait.
God.
Are you drinking Yorkshire decaf?
Yeah. How do they know? Have I mentioned that before? I have mentioned that, haven't I?
I don't know. I wouldn't have been able to guess that one, so maybe I've missed that, or it's a good guess from Poetry Witch. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I probably mentioned it. Yeah. So yeah, it is Yorkshire decaf because I drink so much. You know what though? Decaf actually has caffeine in, which I was like, what the hell's going on there?
It just has less, I suppose.
It just has less.
Point.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. There you go.
I did not know that.
So Yorkshire tea, here you go. Typically 3% caffeine, and then this one, the decaf is 0.2 because I looked it up because someone told me decaf's not actually decaffeinated completely, and I was like, of course it is.
Well, here's another one for you, Jay. I know we completely went off reefing subject.
We haven't even touched reefing yet, have we?
I'm going to go with this.
If you're watching, give us a sponsor.
I had an experience the other day at my work where I was offered a cup of nettle tea, and I tried it, and it was absolutely lovely.
Was it?
Really, really nice. Yeah. And I'm not a big strange tea fan at all, but this was just nettle tea, no milk, no sugar, nothing, and it was really nice. So there's one for you to try, mate.
I do love a cup of tea. I might try it, but I have been loyal to that brand for a long time, Yorkshire tea. So I don't know if I can do it, but if I ever come up to your house, Ross, I know you're obviously a long way away, but if I ever come up, you can treat me to a cup of netto tea.
Nettle, as in stinging nettles that you get stung from.
Nettle, nettle tea.
What did you think he said?
Netto, which used to be like a supermarket, didn't it? Like back in the day.
I've heard of cornetto, but never nettle.
Yeah, I don't know. Nettle tea sounds good.
That's that one. And he's also saying you should do a giveaway for a box of tea, Jay. That would be quite a good one.
That would be.
Oh yeah, when I do my next one in 2023, I'll give away a box of tea.
The New Year special again, is it?
My New Year special one, yeah.
He knows how to push the boat out, doesn't he? He really does. Next year.
I don't. I enjoy. I enjoy just chatting along and looking at the. I barely look at the chat, so yeah. I like just enjoying myself. I can't multitask.
There you go. I've learned something else. So Batship Reefer said he thought I said Netto, and then Aquarium said Netto cheap brand shop.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Chris Allen said I remember Netto and nettle tea with peppermint is ace. So. There we go.
I told you. I haven't seen one for ages.
I did not know that, mate. So yeah, that's
it might just be a Northern England thing. I don't know.
The
sign looked like Paul's top.
Oh, that's inviting.
That's inviting. Bright yellow, like a Pikachu, SPS coral. I wonder if Steve's yellow is your top still.
Oh, I don't know. Did you ever get your Pikachu, Jay?
No. You know why though? I went off, didn't I? I went off Acropora and things like that. They look really nice, but they're just not for me. Let's just leave it there.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll move on. So the next comment, Jay, your tank looks dark and your light's on.
Yeah, I was thinking that. It looks really dark. Are the lights on or not? Well, I can see the lights are on, but no one's
because I haven't put them, like I normally turn them up for the live stream. Do you want me to? I'll try and turn them up, but they weren't working.
If the app's going to
ruin it now.
This could go wrong.
And I've changed my schedule a little bit as well, so that they used to come on at 6:45, so I could feed the fish in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, because it's light now in the morning, I'm just using natural light at the moment till 9 o'clock. So I thought I'd just change it a little bit. There we go.
It's good, mate.
So
there's lots of comments here for Netto saying Netto is Scandinavian for value. We learn something every week here.
Education.
It's an educational chat.
Nothing to do with reefing, but there's education.
Was the Netto logo yellow and white with a Scotty dog? Don't know.
I don't know.
It might have been. I don't actually know what went. It was like a Lidl, and then it just disappeared.
It's a new one for me. Oh, here's another one. So this one here, have you trimmed your beard? Looks a lot shorter, or have you washed it? Both. I did trim it last weekend, and I took far too much off, so it's a little bit short now. But hey, these things happen. I just kept going and thought, nah.
Is that why I could see the microphone on the latest video?
That was it.
What the hell's that there?
I've wore that for probably the best part of 6 months, and it's always just been hidden underneath because it just clips on my shirt and hides under there. But because I trimmed it, I was like, you're going to see that now, and then it looks terrible, but it'll grow back.
Such a professional. I wish I had all this kit. I've got a blooming £200 Chromebook here. That's it.
The problem is, though, Jay, you need to put a video out first.
I have. I made one 2 weeks ago. Have you not seen it?
I think I seen your most recent one, which was a long time ago.
The Pico tank build. That's the most recent one. There's a plug. Go check it out, Ross. Give me a thumbs up and a comment.
I will do, but I'm just reading this one. If you turn Jay upside down, he turns into Ross.
Probably do, actually. Yes. Apart from that, your beard is definitely blacker than my hair. I've got too many.
Oh, here we go. Back on his hair.
I don't dye my beard though, mate. That's the difference.
Oh, this is ruthless.
Shots fired.
Well, there
right,
are
last comment on Netto, and then we're moving on from Netto. Apparently, Asda bought it.
Ah, right, okay. See, but it did sound like you said Netto tea to me.
I must have, because I've stirred up some people here with the Netto. So yeah. Oh no, sorry. Aquarium has said that they're a Danish company, joined Sainsbury's and closed all stores in 2016. We're learning so much about supermarkets tonight. It's ridiculous.
This is
so for those who've tuned into the weekly supermarket chat, welcome along.
Yeah, supermarket sweep.
Supermarket.
Right, let's move on from Netto. What have we got here? Right, I'll answer this one actually. Any news on the water box replacement delivery? So they told me it would be mid-March. So I emailed them again yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, and they've said it's being shipped from their warehouse next week. Now, I don't know if that means their warehouse overseas or the warehouse in the UK.
Or in China.
They didn't clarify on that.
It could be anywhere.
So,
how many days are in March? Because that would be like 25, so I don't think there's 50 days in March. A water box got the... you said middle of March, that would be like the 25th. You need to tell Waterbox there isn't 50 days in March.
Yeah, but we've got to remember I've been waiting since November.
Some people are going to think about, what are you talking about? 50 days in March, 25 days in March, 18 days.
Yeah.
Well, it's the 18th today, so if it's coming next week, I don't need to explain it, don't I? I'm not really good at math.
Your geography, so you're okay.
I'll stick with that.
Geography.
But
I think I need to learn how to pronounce my words a bit clearer. Apologies, Ian. Aquarium. That sounds quite close to what I said, I suppose.
Aqua Ian, isn't it?
Aqua Ian.
Yeah.
We'll get that one right. I wouldn't want to. Okay. So, anyway, this has been an interesting. What are we at? 13 minutes to the start of the stream. So welcome along.
Well,
so reefing wise,
what you haven't said?
No,
can you hear me all right? Can you hear me okay?
Sorry, is this thing on? Is it working?
Yeah, I can hear you, Paul.
Great.
We're not getting any feedback this week. There's no echo.
No. So it clearly wasn't Steve.
No, definitely wasn't.
That is beyond doubt.
It's not me. Is it me?
I got 400 quid headphones. It can't be me.
Yeah, bless him.
Poor man. He gets it every week, doesn't he?
Brilliant. Nearly as much as Jay.
Nearly as much.
I don't think anyone could get it as tight as Jay gets it, but he takes it.
I just come on here, have a laugh. That's the main thing.
all I can see in Jay's tank is a red light that looks like something else.
A red light? Where? Oh, this one.
I've just noticed that.
Yeah,
that's... It had a strange shape to it there.
I'll unplug my sign. There you go.
Oh, it's gone now.
Yeah.
Let me try and put my lights up a little bit.
Yeah, because you can't see any coral. You can see a couple of clowns. You can see a couple of
Is that just on the stream though, Paul?
That's a fraudulent slip, isn't it?
Right, here we go. I was having problem connecting to my app earlier as well.
Tell you what, he totally missed that, didn't he? Went totally over his head.
Yeah, he
what
did.
Did you say?
100%.
I said, all I can see is a couple of clowns.
I'm going to have to restart my phone because it's not connecting. Let me just do that. I'm having the same thing again. I tried to turn it
off. App again.
I know, yeah. I don't know what's going on.
I've got to say, Mark Dodd, I mean, what kind of coral is in Jay's tank? Is it a softie? SPS?
I don't know. Is there like a... It definitely didn't look like a softie to me. I mean, it was quite...
what are you on about?
pronounced, shall we say?
You're not reading the comments again, are you, Jay?
There's no flaccid corals in my tank. Don't you worry about
that. It's good though. That's 15 minutes and we're in the gutter already. So
two torches and a couple of brown sticks. That's about it.
Oh, there's that's
Just
not a very good comment to read. That one there. Another LFS has bit the dust. Links Aquatics closing down.
Oh wow.
So that's we were going to talk about that tonight actually, but it's one of the things that it seems to be quite an issue just now actually, due to several reasons. I mean, you've got obviously the rise in energy costs and so on. I know my local LFS, their energy bills went up by 10 grand a year. So, you know, if a shop's to absorb 10 grand a year, that's a lot. And I mean, some of the bigger shops will be a lot more than that. So energy costs alone is going to drive that. Then you've got unit rent and so on for them to pay for the premises. Then the import's going to be dearer and everything's going to be a lot more expensive. And dry goods and so on as well, the cost of tanks, everything's going to go up. So it's going to be one of the ones that it's difficult because I think people are going to struggle to spend the money at the LFS because they have to put the prices up. But at the same time, if we don't spend the money there and we start buying corals from other people and so on, the LFS are going to shut down. You're not going to have any more. And then we'll all complain that, you know, everybody's guilty of saying, oh, there's not any decent shops round about me. I've done it before as well. And if you don't support those shops, they're not going to stay open, are they?
Yeah, and I said to you earlier on, Ross, I've seen some comments on Ultimate Reef, some stuff on Fish Palace and on Fish Palace Facebook.
Fish Palace.
There's a plug, shameless plug.
Yeah. Are people slagging off fish shops, basically saying around too expensive, they're making too much money, and go online and stuff like that. Yeah. And the problem is, if people don't go to the local fish store, there ain't going to be any around. And then what happens to the hobby? So I'm not too sure there is much of a hobby if there's not local stores. I could be wrong.
No.
But they do, in my opinion, they do so much good. I mean, there's some poor ones out there, don't get me wrong, but there's good and bad about everything, isn't there?
Yeah.
But I do think that if they go under and there isn't many around, there'll be less people in the hobby, and then it starts to dwindle, and it'll just be in places in certain areas and won't be around the country as much as it is at the moment. I don't know what people think in the chat.
This is a real difficult one. How can a small business absorb £10,000 additional costs, outlays? That is so difficult. And then
I mean that's just energy prices as well. You've still got the index, the rent for the premises, the imports, everything's going to go up. So these shops aren't making huge profit on any of the stuff they sell. A lot of them make quite small margins on stuff. So I mean, especially it's just going to be very difficult. And I think this is the point where it's easy for us all to say you need to support them, but everybody's going to be struggling money wise. But
it's going to be difficult. I was going to say that. Obviously, we've got to pay more, but we haven't got the money at the moment. Everybody's paying more for energy bills and food and all that sort of stuff. It's going to be so hard.
I know. So,
but we do need to get behind them, don't we?
Yeah.
I mean, this comment here from Portugal should start a swap shop like back in the 80s. So that goes on quite a lot. There is a lot of people swap corals, and that's fantastic. But it's a fine line between everybody swapping corals and the shops all going out of business, and then you've nowhere new bringing in corals. You end up with just an online store, and it's one of those that I totally get. Swapping corals is brilliant. It's fantastic, but we also need to support the local fish stores as well, or they are going to go out of business.
I think it's like anything; it's a balance, isn't it? If you do a mix. So I do swap. I give corals away, which obviously doesn't help your local fish store, and also I don't tend to shop that much online. But then I'm quite lucky. I've got some really decent shops around me that are not that far away, that are 20 minutes in the car, 30 minutes in the car. Some people have to go 2-3 hours, or like Gal. There is no fish shop unless he goes on the boat onto the mainland or flies over.
That is a very valid point, Howard's saying, because you always think, corals, they're so expensive to buy, and you think, there's a lot of profit in them, but he's exactly right. They've all got modest lives and modest cars and things like that. It's not, there isn't a lot of profit in it already.
Yeah.
And I mean, we all say, it'd be the dream to have my own fish store or sell my own stuff and my own corals and that. every time you speak to somebody that owns a fish store, they'll tell you how hard it is, and that's before all these price increases and everything.
It's a tough gig, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's long hours, and they have to be in, or someone has to be in it every day. You can't take a day off unless obviously someone goes in, because you've got to look after the fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough business.
There's another really good comment as well. If you go to your local LFS and become a regular, they know you, get to know your tank and help you more. Free advice is worth just as much. Totally agree with that. You know, you're going in and buying stuff, and the advice that you get usually from your LFS. If you can find, I've said this before on here and on my videos, if you can find one person or a couple of people that you trust and stick to their advice, then, you know, it's pretty good. So if you've got an LFS you can trust and you can stick to their advice and you see their tanks going well, then it's going to be a benefit. If you lose that, then you're relying on internet forums and so on, which are quite good, but you guys know yourself, you jump on an internet forum, there's 500 different opinions on how to do one thing. So
it's hit and miss, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you buy the wrong fish, that could wipe out your tank, either because it bullies the fish, which then brings out disease, because quite often there's an outbreak, they're stressed and there's ick and everything else, because that can quite often, and then that's the whole thing. And then because you bought online, because you've done the wrong thing. I'm not saying you don't buy online, but getting bad advice. And then about corals as well, the advice on that.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's not easy. But I just see a lot of criticism of LFS, and I'm not too sure that's fair. Some of it will be fair, as always, but there's some of it is just not fair at all, what I see online.
Yeah.
And then people say something, and all of a sudden it becomes a pile-on, and you think, well, I'm not, as it does.
And I will go to the flip side and put Roger's comment on the screen here, because he said on the other side, LFSs charge so much sometimes, though, 3 times the margin, sometimes 5 times. And yeah, he's right. Some LFSs do charge way, way over the odds. And it's one of those that it's a fine line, again, like you said, between charging too much or not making enough to pay the rent. So
yeah,
it's certainly not, it's not an easy one, I don't think, anyway. But
so Roger, I'm assuming you're talking about livestock, because when it comes to dry goods, there's not much margin in that. I think some people were saying that earlier on, and they're quite competitive. And some do price matching as well. That you go into the shop, they will price match what you get online.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, quite a lot of the online stores are all bricks and mortar as well, aren't they? Like Kraken and something. And then you got Charterhouse, for example, which you can walk in, but it's not an LFS like it used to be. You go in today, it's I haven't been in there, they moved. So they used to be, I've said this before, they used to have a fantastic shop in East London, probably the best shop I've ever been to in terms of 20-25 tanks all stocked out and everything else. But they moved because their electricity bill was too high, and that was years ago. But now it's pretty much, I've been there for a while, I don't think they have much as an LFS. They've got a kind of like a counter store and that, but you can go in now. But a lot of the LFS are also online as well, aren't they? I think. I don't know if there are many. Do you know of any that are just online? I don't think they are, because I don't think the suppliers like Ecotech and people like that will go to just an online store. You have to have a walk-in as well.
I don't think so. But like you said about the dry goods, I mean, they can't charge 5 times the margins on them because nobody will go. You need to be competitive. So like you say, everybody's price matching. You can go across most of the online retailers and the prices will be there or thereabouts, almost the same on each one of them. Some might have like promotions and so on, but dry goods are usually there or thereabouts the same price. Yeah, I get corals vary drastically, as does fish and so on as well. But I think dry goods, you'll usually always get it a similar price. But again, shipping costs on that stuff, fuel costs, everything's going to drive them through the roof again. So you're going to have no choice. If you want the dry goods, you're going to have to pay for them. That's really it.
Yeah, I think obviously with corals, they vary so much, and obviously if there's a lot of people chasing that coral, then that's just the LFS is gonna put the price up because it's an in-demand product. So
and then you got some LFS where they might have some really special pieces. Look at signature frags. I don't think anyone would say they're the cheapest, but I know you've been there, and I've seen more and more actually online now of people saying had good signature frags. There was a few posts I saw in the week on Facebook where a couple of people have been there. They said actually the way because you've said this before, you go in there, it's like a boutique. You feel really special. because you've got an appointment, blah, blah, blah. But then the colours they saw face to face didn't match what was online, because they get quite a bit of criticism. Signature Frags say, really? Is that really the colour, or is that filtered? But you've said that before, haven't you, Jay, about the spot on compared to what you see in the pictures?
I mean, the tanks there are just absolutely stunning. The SPS just so bright and colourful. And he doesn't let them go until they are settled and things like that. It's not a kind of quick turnaround with the corals. They sit there for 6 months, 8 months quite easily before they even go online onto the store, because they need to base out or settle. But every coral that I've had from there has been super healthy in my tank, and it's looked the same as it has in the shop when it's been here. Absolutely awesome. And like you say, it's an appointment only, so it's 1-to-1. So Christian, he asks you about your tank, asks you about your parameters. He will tell you if that coral won't do well in your tank. Tells you the lighting that it needs, the feeding, and you get to chat about the health of the coral, where it's from, and all that before you actually purchase it. But I'm supporting him in this difficult time, and obviously I'll support Cellar Marine. They're really good in Stoke, and Future Frags. I'm really lucky. I've got 3 amazing LFSs around me, and I need to make the effort to go and spend money with them, because if any 3 of those went, I'd be gutted, because they are really good.
Yeah, it's funny that I've got 3 I go to as well. So I've got AAC, and I've talked to them. The one that's closest to me is H2O Aquatics. And then there's another one, which is E-Marine, which is, guys, it's been there donkey's years, and his stuff is really, really cheap. He doesn't buy from TMC or anything like that, but he imports stuff, and he's really good. And he breeds his own fish, cardinals he breeds. He's got tons and tons of clowns, because he breeds them himself. It's only a really small unit. And he's changed quite a bit over the years as well. It used to look a little bit grotty, but it doesn't now. He's really, it looks a lot better. But even when it looked a bit grotty, it was still quality stuff. But again, they're the only 3 that I would go to. There's others that I won't go to there, because they're the 3 that I trust.
Yeah, and that's what it is, because so I've never had a fish death that was caused by the LFS, as it were. I've never had any sudden coral deaths. And I've never had, which is really crazy, and touch wood, I've never had aptasia, I've never had flatworm, and I've only ever bought from those 3 shops. And that's why I keep going back, because I haven't had those common problems, really. They are really common problems. But I've avoided them, and that's why I keep going back to the same people.
Yeah, it's good that. There's just a comment on the screen here about price rises from the bigger brands coming 1st of April, Ecotech being one. Now, I'm sure I've seen them saying they were going to raise the prices by 10%. Could be wrong with that.
Yeah, I done a message the other day that I'd heard they was 10 or 12% going up. I mean, I don't know if their prices have been pretty flat for a period of time, and they've been holding their prices and they've gone up. But 10% is a lot.
10% rise.
But that is
10% rise on a radio and or so on that's a lot of money.
What's a Gen 5?
It's adding about nearly £50 to it.
Yeah, they're 500 quid, aren't they? Yeah.
This one is 350.
Yeah.
So you're talking 35. So it's like, he's getting on the best side of £50 extra.
Yeah, but I do know some places are doing 10% off. So H2O Aquatics are doing 10% off of Radiance at the moment until the 1st of April. So I knew there was having an increase. I think Charterhouse are doing 10% off at the moment, and then other places doing price match. So if those places are doing 10% off, that means if you do price match, you can pretty much get 10% off of virtually anywhere at the moment and stuff like that. Which means there's going to be a 20% difference after the 1st of April, isn't it? If you look at where we are today, so get in there now. If you think that 10%,
that's true,
compared to 10% more, that's 100 quid.
Top tip, Paul. Top tip.
It might actually put a halt on new reefers joining the hobby, because I know I've noticed a trend where people seem to be downsizing to nano tanks and so on. There's a few new reefers coming in, but will this put a halt to new people coming into the hobby, beginners starting up again like myself, that's coming in and going, wait a minute, how much is this going to cost me to run this? How much is it going to cost to buy it all? Because it's already an expensive hobby as it is, but to go up the price range again, it might just put a halt on new people joining.
So the question is, would you, if you knew the price of stuff now and you haven't been in the hobby that long, would it have stopped you buying the tank when you did?
Me personally, no.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't have.
What about you, Jay?
Yeah, because I wasn't in the hobby and I had no experience of it. I don't know, the buzz that you get from it. I wouldn't have known that and understood why people love the hobby. So possibly, yeah, possibly. But now I know what the hobby does for me and how and what I get back from it. I would say no. I would definitely have invested.
Yeah.
Did you realise how expensive it was? I mean, forget about the price increases and everything.
Not a chance. I obviously, you think about the tank when you're a real newbie. You think I'll get the tank. That's the big thing, and then I'll just fill it with some nice things. There's nothing. I mean, just the testing kits and all that sort of stuff that you get alongside it. The temperature control. It's very expensive. Very expensive.
I think I didn't realise at the time how all the additional things you need.
Yeah.
Like your testing kits and RODI machine, and they're just the things I think off the top of my head. And then all your consumables you get. I mean, actually, frozen food's nothing, is it? But even if you buy some of the algae rings and like some of those pots, when you had all those up, they're like 20, 30 quid a shot.
Yeah.
Frozen food is actually quite cheap, I think, and how long it lasts. Not when you put 1 cube in a day for two fish, Jay, but
it gets a bit pricey then. I was going to ask, how do you work out how much your tank uses in electricity? Is that possible? Or how much you pay?
It's not really possible, is it? But I must admit, I haven't tried to. When I've got 3 tanks working, I haven't even tried to. I think you can probably work out by the watts of each item,
right?
Then you can say, well, if it consumes 100 watts in X number of hours, you get a precise, because obviously it ramps up and it ramps down. So trying to get the exact is probably difficult, but you probably get a ballpark. I'm sure some people have said in here before how much it.
I'd love to know how much a Max Nano costs to run in a year just for the electric.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
You really don't want to know, mate.
No, exactly.
No, I do. I genuinely do, because I want to see because that's a cost that I don't really know.
Gal said, add a plug that tells you. So I'm assuming there must be a plug, Gal.
Oh, right, okay.
It says, so has he got an LED
smart
on
plug
or something? Is there a smart plug that says the wattage on it? I don't know.
I bet there is. I bet there's a plug for, well, not a plug for everything, but
I know you can get a smart meter, but that says the electricity for your whole house.
Yeah, you would need to have your tank turned off for a day and then turn it on again and see. But we're not going to do that because you'd lose everything. So,
well, yeah.
Or you knew before you had a smart meter before, and then you started a tank, and then you saw it go whoosh straight up.
I need that smart plug that you've got for your little nano tank that turns your light on and off. Ross.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that little USB plug. That's what I need. One of those. But yeah, I'd love to know how much it costs.
That's a good comment. Otherwise, Moggs will say it was a crap live without him. Not a valid point there.
Yeah, can we have double the amount of likes, and then we'll say, "Oh, Moggs, you've been holding us back."
I know. Missed a few comments. I'm going to go back up to them. I'm going to come back to one in a minute, but where was the one that I seen? This is quite a good one actually. Spoil for choice here. Bursco Aquatics cracking out the blue, finest Oasis, just Marines Abyss, all within an hour's drive. So, I mean, that the Midlands area seems to. I don't know if that's Midlands. I'm calling it Midlands, but
I think that's Manchester.
Yeah.
They seem to have a lot of choice around about there.
That's the Manchester Barrier Reef area, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. There's one here. This was quite an interesting one. Can we not make this pay a fee and add the lottery at the end of each stream to win a gift voucher for an LFS? Won't cost anything for you guys and we get a chance to win. Could be a way to support a local fish shop who want to do a lottery type thing, but don't know.
That would be a good idea.
Look at.
There's Euro Millions every Friday night, isn't there? You could use.
Oh yeah. Reefer Millions.
Well, no, but I don't know what time they do their draw for the the number that you could use on this.
Ah, yeah, that's true. Actually.
Oh, I see. The bonus boards.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Planet Ocean Aquatics? So I think that's about 4 hours away from me. It's not really that close. So no, I've never been.
Never heard of it.
It's a way up north in the Highlands of Scotland, so that's
I see.
That's up there. This one from Mark Dodd started because he couldn't go scuba diving in tropical oceans because of COVID, so thought he'd build his own. Quite a good idea.
Fair point.
That's a really good idea.
We've missed that, haven't we, as well? That's our life.
There you go. Just turn everything off for a month, Jay, then you'll see your usage drop and minus that from your previous.
Jones, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Or say to the neighbour, can I plug it in for a month? Because you just want to see how much it costs.
I do. I'm genuinely interested to know, and then work out how much it's going up by as well. Because that sort of thing would interest me, but I don't know how to do it. I thought we'd have a mathematician or something on here who could just help us out.
There's going to be a website you can do all that on, mate, and calculate it.
Do you reckon?
So, it depends what tariff you're on as well, doesn't it? But your tariff would say how many pence it is per whatever.
Yes. Well, mine was 3.5p of whatever it is, a kilowatt or something, I don't know.
Yeah. There must be a way.
There's a comment here going back to this. Now, this is one that you could take it from either side. So, just ordered a small Jabo Wavemaker as a spare from AliExpress, £29. LFS is 65. Sorry, it speaks for itself. Yeah, I get that. We could all jump on AliExpress and buy £29 Wavemakers, but then you wouldn't be able to moan at not having an LFS. So it's a balance because we're all struggling money wise. So you go, well, we're all having to pay extra prices for everything. So do you go to AliExpress and buy that, or do you spend £65 on LFS? It's a tough one.
I mean, if most of us wouldn't pay £65 for the same thing that's 29, though, would we?
No, but that's where we would then need to say, well, we can't moan if the shop's all shut down because we're the ones that's basically causing it. So
and
the shop was about. Sorry,
I was going to say there's a couple of people in here that I know. Julian. There's a couple of others that live around the London area. There's hardly any LFS in London.
Yeah.
At all.
What's going on there?
I think there's a couple of reasons. One, if you look at the population generally in inner London, this is generally a lot of people live in flats. They rent properties. It's really expensive, and they work really, really long hours. And lots of people down outside. So therefore,
we're not lazy up north.
Is not considered. Certainly, if you're in rental property in that. So so I don't think then people in London, it's not popular at all.
Yeah.
And if they are, they move out of London. I don't know why. Maybe it's just saying it's just in people in their stage of life and that. I don't know. But it's weird. So there used to be one in the central London around Oxford Street that closed down, and then there was a couple of us, and they're just not around. So therefore, you have to people like Julian have to then, if you haven't got a car, getting travel outside of London is awful if you're going in from London. Yeah. I don't know why. When you look at how many people that live in London, it's just not popular.
I think when you bought a house in London, you haven't got any money for coral. That's the problem.
Well, it could be that, Joe. And then actually, rental is more expensive than a mortgage in London.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's crazy.
I
mean, it's one of those that
it's an endless spiral because you jump into renting and you can't save any money, so you're never ever going to be able to save for a mortgage. So that's you're stuck.
Yes.
So yeah. Comment from Secret Reef, who's coming to Finest Aquatics on the 9th? Jay, are you going?
The 9th? I don't think I am. Where is it? Where is it, Finest? I've not even heard of it.
I think it's in Widnes, just outside Liverpool, I think.
The 9th? I'm not sure. I think that's the start of the school holidays, that is.
Is it?
I don't know yet.
Saturday the 9th.
Who's going? Are you going, Ross?
I might go down just for the day on the Saturday. I'm not decided 100% yet. I'll wait and see, but I might do that on the Saturday. I think it's on both days, but I'm certainly not going both days. If I do go, it'll just be for the one day on the 9th.
I could be tempted. If I'm not doing anything, I'll have a think about it. I don't know. I didn't know it was on.
Is it far for you, Joe?
Widnes, probably about 2 hours, I'm guessing.
Okay, so it's not
a million miles.
Still 2 hours, 4 hour round trip, so still away, but doable.
Yeah, could be, yeah. I think, I'll just have a look at the maps now. It's about the same distance as Cracknell, I think.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
For me.
Yeah, the comments here are saying that it's beside Liverpool Airport.
Oh, is it?
Goodness, yeah.
Oh, I've just found it here. Directions. Oh, it's only an hour and 20 for mine.
So I think it's about 4 hours for me to get there. and then 4 hours to get back, obviously.
Yeah, I think it'd be 4 or 5 hours for me, so I don't think I'll be going.
No, and then there's another Crackna event in July, I think it is.
That was at the 26th. I saw something come up today. It was late July, wasn't it? I think
it was the 24th.
Yeah,
Sunday the 24th of July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not far. Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 of them there, so I'll definitely get that one.
Yeah, and that was for 6 hours, wasn't it? So it's one day, so it's a little bit longer than the other one. Was it noon to 6? I saw, so I might see if I might pop up. It's a bit
12
longer.
to 6, I think it is. So yeah, and I think he was talking about having a barbecue and so on there as well. So
24th.
Yeah.
See that sounds more tempting, to be honest. I think I'm
barbecue had me, mate. I was signed up the second I heard barbecue.
In the summer as well, it's nothing better, is there? Really, it's the best food. Yeah.
So
let's get on that one. Let's get on the Crackna 24th of July.
Yeah, go. Mark Dodd has said, I drove to Preston to collect my Holy Grail and live just outside London. So I've no idea how far that is, but I'm assuming it's a bit of a drive.
Yeah, it's huge distance. That's about 6 hours at least.
Oh, is it?
Well, round trip, yeah.
5 hours, 6 hours.
Depends what side of London as well, but yeah, that is a
here we go.
jaunt.
There you go, Jay. Finest 15 minutes away from me. Pop in for a Yorkshire.
Wow.
There's Yorkshire tea there, Jay. Surely you're going to be on it.
That is tempting.
Yeah, I mean, is that?
That is tempting.
That must be Jay's 40 minutes.
I was just about to say, it's 42 minutes and his screen is frozen.
Yeah.
I know, no. Yeah, I told you, every 45 minutes it just freezes up. I don't know what the hell.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's just weird. Let me jump off and then jump back on. Please let me back on though.
Yeah, we'll think about it, mate.
Right. Cheers. I appreciate it, mate. Right, I'll just restart it.
No problem. Where are we? So we on here. Crackna in July. Nice shop. I think it's going to be a sneak preview of the shop extension. Something special there for sure.
It looks quite a big shop from the pictures.
I think it is.
I think it's both fresh. Is it freshwater and marine?
I think so. Yeah, I think they do a bit of everything. Freshwater, marine,
and koi and other stuff, and cold water as well.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I've not, to be honest, I hadn't heard of it until recently either. So
no have I.
It was a new one for me, but yeah, I mean, it looks like a big shop. And what I will say, the corals that I've seen they've got are really, really nice.
Yeah,
they do have some really nice corals there. But again, I've not been, so I don't know what it's like. But who's winning the micro reef contest? So for the Pico tanks, I take it you mean on that one? Well, they probably are micro tanks, are they? I don't know the difference in micro or Pico.
What, 3 litres? I don't know what the definition of we call it a Pico, but I suppose micro smaller. I suppose it could be.
Maybe. So I don't think there isn't a winner as such yet. It's going to be basically the end of the year where we'll decide who's doing what. But mine's has been a bit of a kind of slow week with it, shall we say. I haven't really noticed any growth or any improvement or anything this week. It seems to just be quite a kind of slow week. I know you won't see much week to week, but this week there definitely doesn't seem to be much going on in the tank anyway. I had a slight tiny ugly stage, and then I had a little bit of algae came in, so I put in one of the tiny little turbo snails out my tank into it, and it's went round and hovered it all up and kind of cleaned it all to the best it can. So yeah, it's looking all right actually. To be fair, it doesn't look too bad, but it's just going to take a while, I think, to grow out. But all I've been doing is every week when I do my weekly water change on the peninsula, I just I literally drain the Pico down probably more than halfway and take water out of the peninsula and put that into it, because I've got quite high nutrients in the peninsula anyway, so it's going to feed whatever's in there, because obviously there's no fish for any nutrients to be in there. So I'm hopeful that that's going to work. It might not work over time, but I haven't tested the water in the Pico tank at all. I've just left it as it is. So
I think it should work, because if it's nutrients it needs, you're just topping up the nutrients, aren't you, from your other tank? Because if you was to put fresh water in there, or fresh salt water, should I say, and then you've got nothing in it, the corals are just going to starve. Yeah,
you almost have a sterile tank then, won't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So yeah, I'm just going to keep topping it up.
If you've had hardly any diatoms or algae or anything like that, because it's no different to a 2, 3, 4, 500 litre tank in terms of the cycle that it goes through.
Yeah, I mean, I had a very, very small amount, but nothing major. But I put in some live rock from my tank. I used some sand from the tank. I also put in a couple of frags from the tank as well. So, I'm hopeful that they've been enough to seed it. Plus, I put a single bio ball in the back as well, and that bio ball came from my tank. So, I'm hopeful that it's okay. It might have had a mini cycle maybe, but hopefully it's kicked off all right. To be fair, so. Yeah, time will tell on that one, but I think we're just going to run it to the end of the year, and we'll get a couple of updates and so on during that time, but the winner will be at the end of the year anyway. If everybody's still going at the end of the year, that's going to be the big thing.
Well, so mine's not wet yet. Should I show you where I am with mine?
Yeah, let's see it then. We'll wait for this. What have we got in the comments here? Jay needs to get his missus back on the bike and start pedalling. I think it's his computer that's the problem. Fish will be moved from extension. Here he is. Right. I'll put you full screen, mate, so we can get the full effect of this.
So that is it.
Oh, that looks good.
So it's just taken me a long time. I haven't just got around to do it because I've had other things to do. So I'm doing a floating aquascape.
Yeah, that's really cool, mate. I like that.
So that is that. So I've got all the other stuff. I just need time to do it. There's always something that gets in the way, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm going to, like yourself, I'm going to use old sand in there, not having anything in the back at all. But the next bit I've got to put the acrylic on there to do the light, and then I'm going to stick it behind me there. So I'm pretty happy how that's come on. So I've hidden. There was an L-shaped piece of acrylic that's in there. You can about see. What I've done, I've glued on bits to it, so it's a little bit of glue around the edges. There's a cleansing button. So it's a little shot. In fact, you might be able to see the shell from the bottom. No, you can't. So I've hidden it quite well, I think.
Yeah, you've done well with that, mate. You can't notice it at all. It looks really good.
So that's it there. I'm just wondering if I think it's high enough.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah. So that's that. So I just need to get it wet now.
Yeah, that's really good, mate. It looks great.
I do like a floating aquascape.
I know. But you seem to be the master of that, mate. That's what I will say. You've done...
the other one is, 15, 16 months old, and it hasn't collapsed.
Yeah. He's got the bad laptop, where his missus got the good one to look at, Ross. Brilliant.
Oh, is he coming in?
Well, he did join and then disappeared again.
Yeah. There he is. Oh.
What's going on? Oh, it's not even loading.
There you go. Don't swear, you're live.
I won't. Did last week. You remember Steve last time? Remember Steve?
Yeah.
Cursing and swearing. Are we all right? I'm not juddering, am I?
No, you're okay.
So
you've missed this. This is my floating aquascape.
Oh wow, that is cool. How have you stuck that on there then? Have you already said?
I've got I had an L-shaped piece there.
Oh yeah.
And I stuck it with acrylic. You may or may not be able to see it. So now I need to get my finger out and set it up.
That is very good.
How's yours? We've had that one. What about you?
Yeah, we've been through that, mate. You can catch up on the replay.
I'll have to watch the stream back. Ross would like that. He gets more views.
Yeah, that'll do me, mate.
I know. I still think I'm a bit delayed here. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, but you avoided the question, though, Jay.
What question? Sorry, what was it? I forgot what the question was.
Pico.
Right. Well, where is it now? It's here. Hey up.
I don't know if he's gone or if he's just frozen. No, he's coming back, isn't he?
No, it's here, look. So I've had to shut it down first because I did the fill on the live stream, didn't I?
Yeah. So
I did the live fill, but I haven't done my sand and my aquascape, which is my next video. So I'm delayed. I'm delayed till I make my next video now. But yeah, it's all here. But I think
I think this could be the longest Pico tank build in history, to be honest with you.
Ross, you can't rush these setups, you know, you can't rush them. Otherwise, you get algae.
Well, you're going to need to rush it, mate, or the end of the year will be here before we know it.
Well, that's it. It's if your tank survives to the end of the year, but if you don't start till like July, then you're all right, aren't you?
Well, to be fair, we were actually going to say the tanks had to be wet by the end of February. That was the initial rule,
Well,
so you two technically could be disqualified.
Well. Yeah.
Well, you see what's happened to Steve. He's rushed this.
No, I rushed mine, mate, and it's still good.
I have, well, you probably can't tell. Did you watch, what's she called? The Kit Kat. What's she called? Take a Break Kit Kat girl.
Oh, yeah, Kat.
Yeah.
And Kat. And she did the little thing with the logo there.
With the polish. No polish.
Yeah.
No
so
polish.
I have done that bit. So not me. My wife's done it. She's filled the gaps in with some bright orange. You probably can't tell. It's bright orange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously it goes with the colour scheme, look. Orange and black.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I just need to make the next video, and that's what's delaying me now. I need to do the aquascape video. I thought I'd invite you round, Ross, because I know you like doing aquascapes.
No, let's not go there.
So Jay, do you know what you're going to do as an aquascape yet?
I might copy you now. I actually do not know. I don't know. I don't really know. it's whatever it comes out like. I'll get a few bits of rock out, start to shape it. I do like. I mean, you can't have minimal in there, can you? Really? Because there's not much space anyway.
You could do.
I've seen the volcano one. That looks quite nice. I quite like the idea of the volcano one. Is that Lucid Reef?
Yeah.
Lucid Reef done that one. Yeah, that's quite cool, actually. He's went all out on his, to be fair. He's done quite a bit to it with ATO and everything underneath it.
I know he's got a little drawer underneath and all kinds of things, isn't he?
Yeah.
I know. That's the worrying side. All our viewers are doing so much better than what we are.
I know. Well, speak for yourself. Mine's is full there, look.
Yeah, Ross has done a good job, and so has Steve, to be fair, hasn't he?
It's full of algae, isn't it, yours, Ross?
No, there's no algae in mine, mate.
Are you sure?
Yeah. You missed this bit of the conversation when you were rebooting yourself, mate.
Oh, I can't believe Steve's lights broke. That's not good, is it? I mean, they're not cheap lights. They should last a while, shouldn't they? Those. But yeah, mine's
was his light just stopped working? Is it?
Yeah, it's broke. Yeah.
I'm sure you can take it back.
No.
Well, not maybe.
It should be able. It's from TMC, aren't they? So you just be able to get in touch with them and get it replaced. I would have thought.
Yeah, so it's all ready to go. I just need to do my aquascape and put me half a beach in the bottom of it.
So is that why you've left it empty? Because it's just going to be a tank full of sand. Is that literally what it's going to be?
Sand's up to there.
Deep sand. Yeah.
And then I'll put a little bit of rock in. Then that'll be job done.
If you do,
you could put your garden eel in there, mate.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the garden eel.
No, too small for a garden eel. No. I'd absolutely love a garden eel. I really would. I can't put one in here, though.
Garden eel Pico tank. How not? They don't move about much, do they?
They don't move. I don't think. But you can't put anything in here. It's too small.
You never know, mate.
I'd love a garden eel. What size tank do you need?
You should get one, mate. They're suitable for Picos.
No, you do need a deep sand bed, though. I know that, and I've got plenty of time.
Yeah.
So that could be an option. I did actually see one, and they wouldn't sell me one because my sand bed wasn't deep enough. Obviously,
how did that conversation go down?
A viewer of the channel, and they said, "No, your sand bed's not deep enough." I was like, "Okay, fair enough."
This Pico will be a rock pool. There we go.
A rock pool. I could go bare bottom, couldn't I? After buying all that sand.
You could do.
What you do in your spare time, mate, is completely up to you. That's up to you.
With your red light and your Lego.
I don't want the neighbours complaining again.
No, there was enough of that the last time.
I know. Every week.
So Jay, with that Pico, how long did you leak test it for?
On the live, so it was the morning after. So I filled it on the live stream, left it till the morning after, and it doesn't leak. It's watertight. But then I thought, right, well, I need to do the video of the aquascaping and putting the sand in and setting it up. And I can't do that. Obviously, there's already water in it. So I took the water out. Yeah. And then I haven't filmed the video, as Ross alluded to in the first part of this live stream. I need to make a video.
Yeah. Speaking of while, we've all forgot what your videos are like, mate. We got excited when there was a couple came out. There was a few weeks where a couple of them came out, and I thought, that's it, we're getting Jay back then. Yeah.
I make them for pleasure, don't I? So I just make them as and when, and then it's more normally as rather than when. But I need to make one. I need to make the next one of that. But it's just there's no excuses. But I'm marking GCSE and A-level mock exam papers at the moment, so that's taking up my time. My job's in the way. I need to retire or leave my job so I can do some more videos.
I think you should just retire, mate. That's it.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
I wish I had.
It sounds like a really stressful job you've got, especially the fact you don't get any time off or anything either. That's the tough bit of your job, isn't it?
Funny you say that, Ross. In 3 weeks, I've got 2 weeks off because I need a break.
Wow,
it's all that marking.
Yeah. I mean
those papers don't tick themselves, do they?
I know. Well, this is our peak in teaching. This is our peak season, March to mid-June. This is when we actually do loads of work because we got to get the kids ready.
Just like your run up to Christmas, is it? Where you get all your sales?
This is the run up to Christmas, and then middle of June. After that, I'll be making loads of content. Don't worry.
Well, you heard it here first. There's the very first lie that he's went on, so we'll definitely not get that content that's been promised.
I'll do some content in June, middle of June.
Anyway, cheers, folks.
Oh, he's on the drink.
He is on the whiskey.
I'm
assuming on the whiskey.
I'm on the Yorkshire tea.
Yeah,
we're back on the Aberlour again tonight. 12-year-old one.
Oh my god, Aber lover. I hated Aber. Rubbish.
No, I wasn't a fan of ABBA either, to be honest. But that's
you do like a whiskey, don't you, Ross?
Oh yeah, I do. That's my weakness, actually.
We should be drinking Irish whiskey or a Guinness because wasn't it St. Patrick's Day? Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody who's Irish in the chat.
Yeah, that was yesterday. Believe it or not, I did think about it because I'm going over to the Jameson distillery next week. I think to do a job over there when we work. Oh. So I thought, there you go. I've got a bottle of Jameson on the shelf, and I thought, well, I'll get that out tonight. But I'm not overly keen on Jameson. I prefer Speyside stuff. So yeah, we'll see what it's like over there next week.
So patriotic. Does he not well? He cut him in half. It'll be Scotland written inside him.
It's certainly not that, mate. But there'll be something in there.
Something in there. Yeah.
So Jay, your Holy Grail torch, you was having problems with it before, weren't you? Is it all okay now?
Which one, sorry? What was that?
Holy Grail? You had a torch.
Oh, with the torches?
Yeah.
It was just, they were generally just a bit miserable. And that was because they had that issue with the magnesium. You got it dropped to like 1250 or something. And then I slowly bumped it up each day, 100 each day, 100 ppm each day, just by dosing. And then they perk up. The torches love elevated magnesium and stable alk, and they just seem to thrive then. But it's split, so my Holy Grail's split now. I've got clear 2 heads, and now they're actually the heads are actually splitting again. So I'm on the way, early stages, but to four Holy Grails. I'd be like, oh, that'd be. I know
that's a good sign, isn't it? Because he lost one of the heads. Yeah.
Well, this is the one I smashed to bits when I tried to detach it from the frag plug.
Yeah.
And then I had to put it together, which apparently is quite a common thing. A lot of people break the skeletons. It's quite common. Yeah. But yeah, I don't like the frag plug, so I detached it, put the putty around it, and obviously it's a fighter, and it's actually my healthiest torch is the Holy Grail.
That's good. And putty is quite good for that because it just holds it together quite well. So did you glue it onto the putty as well, or did you just?
Yeah. So I had a crisis meeting with Northern Reefer. I rang him up and said, "You won't believe what I've done. I've just broken the skeleton of the Holy Grail." And I was like, you know what I'm like? I get into like a mass panic. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And he's like, right, whatever you do, don't put any glue near the flesh. Very carefully use reef glue up the kind of the browns, whatever it is, the skeleton, the brown skeleton, and be very careful around the white skeleton. Make sure there's no glue touches the actual flesh of the torch. Yeah. And then around the brown skeleton, I put the putty. Yeah. And, so the white glue around the white bit of skeleton and the putty around the base of it. It held, and it survived, and now it's splitting, and it's the healthiest one. It's the most extended one when it's out during the day. It's a lovely torch. But again, we talked about torches last week, and it's a tank bred torch. Yeah. For a number of years. So it is very hardy. It's used to being in aquariums, whereas those ones from the sea are a bit more difficult, aren't they, I think? Yeah. Because what we were saying, I've lost 2 torches recently. And the others are fine. And the 2 of them, it could be the magnesium because it went low. But also it's weird, these 2 came from a certain place. Whereas the others, one I've had for 8 years, or 7 years, I think it is. And the other one, it came from another tank, which was really well established. And I think some other people were saying in the comments about getting them from established tanks, and they've been fragged a number of times, and are they more hardy than if they just come in from in the sea and they get fragged and then put out to people, which kind of makes sense. So the other one's doing okay, Jay? Yeah, the others are doing well. I had a setback with my Dragon Soul. I did lose a head on the Dragon Soul. Right. And I think that was when I had the magnesium issue. But that's coming back now. The green one is huge. This one's about 6 heads, 7 heads. Yeah. I mean, I put a video out today on my Instagram because everybody sees them at night, and at night they're obviously starting to close up, and they don't look that good really. But I took a little bit of video clip today during the day. It was about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. And you get to see him at. You're probably wondering why I'm at home at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, there you go. Yeah. when he's really busy marking. So I have teacher planning and preparation time where I can do my work from home. Is that prep for Instagram? So funnily enough, mine's Friday last lesson that I've got that, so I can go home early on a Friday.
I've heard it all now, mate.
It's a stressful job, Ross. You wouldn't want it, honestly. I've got to deal with teenagers. Have you ever spoke to a teenager?
Yeah, but it's usually not a nice conversation.
There's nothing you can tell them. That's long and short of it.
Yeah.
They know everything.
Remember, we've all been there, mate. We know what it's like with teachers.
Especially geography.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's never a dull day. We had not that it's reefing, but we had non-uniform day today. Oh my God. Remember non-uniform days?
Well, we didn't have a uniform in the school I went to, so it was all right. But that was quite a few
years. What did you wear then, Jay?
Well, I just went in my teacher jeans like you do. I'm non-uniform. It's comic relief tonight, isn't it? That's why everybody's watching the live stream.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So it's comic relief. We raise money as a school, but yeah, it was non-uniform day. But you never get any, the kids never get any proper work done on non-uniform day. It's an absolute nightmare, to be fair.
Is that when you peel in the big TV and put a video on and they just chill out?
This is where I find David Attenborough and just stick that on. Because he's the god. He's the god of geography, basically. Am I using my UV? Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I got back to reefing after my other bit. I've used it twice, and that's it. Because I haven't got so much algae at the moment. And the reason why I put it on is just to get rid of when I had a little bit of an outbreak of algae. So I haven't used it for a little bit, but it kind of cleared up the algae a little bit when I used it. But I've not used it regularly enough to know the benefits. What are you laughing at?
I just read this comment. I don't know who Poetry Witch is, but they've got some good comments. So we'll fire this for that.
Right, enjoy the rest of the evening. It's fun. All the best.
So thanks, Poetry Witch. Enjoy your night of witchery.
Yeah, good to see you. They're often on the chat as well. So regular, absolute regular.
It's a regular, but a mysterious regular, shall we say? Because we don't know who he actually is. So
That is true.
who he or she actually is. It could be anyone.
There was a comment earlier about using carbon. Do either of you use carbon?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
What, on a regular basis?
Yeah. So it's in.
always in.
I leave it in pretty much all the time, and I just swap it out every month. I would say. I think you should probably swap it sooner than that, but I seem to swap it every month, and it seems to keep my water really clear. Whether it's that or I'm just thinking it's that, but I use the Aquaforest carbon, and it seems to be quite good, to be fair.
Well, what one do you use, Jay?
Yeah, I'm the same. I use let me show you my tub. This will make you laugh. So I use a teaspoon every 3 months.
What?
Every 3 months.
A teaspoon every 3 months?
No, a dessert spoon of a dessert spoon.
Well, you don't feed it, do you?
No, I put it in a bag. Look how big the tub is.
Oh, that's the Red Sea one. Yeah, I use that.
Yeah, so I use but it's that I bought this ages ago. I bought this when I started a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I've still got over half the tub left.
Right, so
anyway,
you've got a dessert spoon in a little bag and it goes in the sump, does it, Jay?
Yeah, little black bag. I wash it, I rinse it off in RO water before putting it in. It sits actually just before the water gets drawn into the skimmer. Yeah. So it's right next to the pump that draws the water into the skimmer. And I use it as a bit of a safeguard so it clears the water up, obviously. And in case there's any toxins from corals or anything that's in the water that I can't see, obviously that's the job of it. It takes out any contaminants as well. So I've run it from the start and never had an issue. So I like it. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
I use it.
Do you use it, Paul, or not?
I use it from time to time. If there's a little bit of coral warfare, or if I've done some fragging and then you put them back in and then they start toxins or other stuff, they'll put it in there. But I don't run it all of the time. I usually, if there's something going on in the tank, then I put it in. I never really thought about running it all the time on any of the tanks. So it's kind of as and when I see something, but definitely run it straight after fragging, because that is when you start getting mucus from LPS and other corals that potentially could go and aggravate or do something to other corals, and also when there's warfare as well. But other than that, I don't tend to use it. Yeah, I never really thought about using it all the time.
See, I don't know what
I kind of just I started it from the start and just have always used carbon. I've never really took it out for any period unless I've been treating the tank with anything where you have to take carbon out. You know, like anything I've added in, then I've took it out. But other than that, I tend to just keep it in there. Whether it does good or harm, I don't know, but it seems to be doing well for my tank. I mean, my water's really clear, so
you see from the pictures it does. Yeah,
I don't know if that kind of counts to it.
I've heard that it can affect your nutrient levels, like drop your nutrients if you kind of overdose it. So you do have to be quite careful with it in that sense.
Yeah, it does. It does usually. There's usually a guide, isn't there? So in the Red Sea one, it will say X amount per 100 litres or whatever. That's usually their measurement on most things, isn't it? So I do try and stick to that. I mean, I haven't really seen anyone or read much about people putting too much carbon in and then having an adverse effect. But I suppose it could, because if it's stripping stuff out, it strips out too much. That makes sense.
Yeah, there's a comment from Mark, and I know that Mark works in the water industry, and he said activated carbon's awesome. First thing I design into a plant to treat contaminated groundwater is carbon tanks. So, you know, I know that it's a lot of industrial sites, especially water treatment works and any kind of water industry stuff. They use carbon heavily with that, so it obviously does work. Yeah. I just don't know the ins and outs of using it constantly, but I do use it constantly. So,
so I suppose the question is, Mark, how often should you change it? Because obviously you change it monthly.
I change every 3 months.
It every 3 months. I use it as and when, so I leave it in there maybe for a couple of weeks and then take it out. So I don't know if there's a sweet spot, or maybe it depends on the tank, because you could argue, depending on what's in there, does it draw out? It has a limit because you can exhaust it, whether that's time or whether it draws out lots of contaminants and therefore it's full. If that's the right term, you see what I mean? So I don't know.
So there's also an interesting comment here from Economical Reefer that's saying, just a great money-saving tip, boil used carbon with RO water, let the water evaporate, continue with heat on the pan until completely dry. Do this for a few more times. I've never heard of that before. I've always just binned my carbon. I've never ever tried to reuse it again.
So you boil using RO, let it evaporate, and it's completely dry. And then that it basically recharges it.
It sounds like that anyway, but yeah, I've never ever.
No, I've never heard of that.
I don't know. Sounds like a good technique. But...
And there's another comment here saying, I messaged Red Sea, they recommended 90 grams of carbon for a 350 litre tank.
I thought it said on the pot, the recommendation, but maybe it doesn't.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So Mark's replied saying for GAC tanks on site about 6 months, but depends on the contaminants.
Okay, so it really depends. Yeah, so it's hard to tell then, isn't it? I suppose if you're doing it every month, and so therefore you're taking it out every month, it should last longer because you've got less in there. Whereas if I just threw a bag in now, it would last less time because I haven't had it in there for a period of time.
Yeah, he's also confirmed it can be recharged as well. So I didn't know that.
No,
I just thought it was a one-shot thing and you threw it out. So
yeah, I did not know that
tip. No,
but to be fair, Jay, you're not using much, and it's lasted 1.5 years. You remember you're boiling a dessert.
It is just a dessert, just your normal dessert spoon, slightly. Bag, because you can put too much and it can strip a lot of your like I say all the bacteria and nutrients, all sorts. It can be quite dangerous if you use too much. But obviously I get my water from somewhere else, which we won't mention, so that's why I run it. That's why I run that, because I haven't got an RODI filter.
So green chalice, can they sting other corals? Yes. If you look at night, they do have tentacles on them. There are some varieties that are more stingy, shall we say, than others. But yeah, if you have a look when lights are out, they can. And also, if you have different chalice, some chalice you put next to one another, they're fine. Others, they'll sting the life out of them. So things like rainbow chalice I find are the weakest, because I've had one of mine been stung before. But yeah, they can do. So I keep the distance.
I'm going to throw you under a bus now, Paul. I really enjoyed your live fragging of the chalice.
Yeah.
When's your next live fragging? It was good, wasn't it, Ross? How good was that?
That was a good one, mate. That's usually what I do to you and say, when's your next video, Jay? But you've just swung that one right round and fired it at Paul. So yeah, I like that, mate. That was a good one.
I
Paul,
don't know.
I've got you a little bit of time to think about that there, so we'll just say that was a very good one, Jay. Keep thinking, Paul, and we'll well done to Jay for that one. So
okay,
you can't do that to me. Oh my god, your wingman is the host.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's fine. Because I would like to do it, but I haven't got round to doing it. My slot on a Sunday is taken because Reef Talk does every Sunday now, doesn't he? Because he does 8 o'clock. So I would have done another one. So,
which is very good, by the way. Yeah. I enjoy that as well. Any of these lives, they're good. They're good to listen to.
Yeah. So I could do a Monday night. Because what other night do you do? Saturday night, people do lots of stuff. Obviously, Friday night we do this. So I don't know. And then I've got to have the time for prep and everything like that. So I could do a Monday night. But
I think Monday night, that'd be good. No one does anything on a Monday night. We'd all like to watch your kitchen.
Yeah. The kitchen was definitely a popular hit, the kitchen, wasn't it?
I know, yeah.
So yeah, I might do...
So Zoa fragging seems to be the popular one that people want, mate. I know we spoke about it before, but there's Ian just said that as well.
I'd have to get the kit because I'd have to get the glasses. Well, I've got glasses already, so I think I should be okay with that. I need to get some gloves, but yes, I could do that.
I requested Zoa fragging as well. That would have been a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, because alternatively, the only other stuff I've really got to do are things like bubble coral. Yeah, I've got quite a few Zoas to do. SPS are really easy. You
Yeah.
just break them off and then stick them on thread plugs. So there's nothing to them. But yeah, I could do.
I think Zoas would be a good one, but you would need your PPE on, Paul. That's for sure.
I'd have to be kitted up.
Yeah.
Just for health and safety, regardless of what I usually do, I'd have to play it by the rules.
I know.
But yeah, I could.
So on that one, there's a comment here from Skid saying, "Can bubble coral kill and eat fish?" No, I don't think they can. I've never had one. So
do you mean bubble coral or do you mean anemones?
Don't know. He said bubble coral.
Yes, because I've got bubble coral, and the answer is no. I've got big. Well, I did have a big collar until I broke it up. I've not seen. I don't see how they can eat fish because they haven't got mouth. They could sting them because they've got tentacles, but that's the same as chalice or any other LPS that would sting or could sting fish. So I couldn't see how a bubble coral could eat fish. I stand to be corrected, but I've had a bubble coral in this tank here since it started. So that would be, I've had one for about 7 years.
So he said his mandarin has completely disappeared and think the bubble stung him.
So what could happen if the mandarin has died? Then it will just disappear because it will get eaten by a cleanup crew. It'll just be devoured by what's in there. If you've got bristleworms, they'll go after it. So sometimes other fish will eat dead fish. So something like a mandarin would be a lovely meal for what's in the tank.
Yeah.
So it could. I had a mandarin for about 4 years, and he used to skate all over the top of the bubble coral, and I never saw it in any adverse way. That's not to say it didn't sting it, by the way, but I haven't experienced it all the time to see a bubble coral sting fish. There might be an exception to that, but I don't think it's. They have stingers on them, but I haven't seen them actually sting other coral either, and that's been close to loads of other corals. So I don't think so. I haven't experienced it in the kind of 6-7 years I've had bubble corals with fish, and I've had mandarin.
I've never heard of them doing it, but
no,
I don't know anything about bubble corals, so I can't comment.
As well as, I mean, we spoke about this before. The second that a fish dies, then cleanup crew, even the Saria snails and all that, will be on them in seconds, and that's it. It's game over then, isn't it? They're gone within a really short period of time.
Yeah. I've lost fish before. They just disappeared. Fortunately, I've lost a fish for quite a while actually, but they just disappear, and you wonder where they're gone, and they've just been eaten.
Well, the last one I lost was my Helfricki firefish, and within a matter of minutes, I mean, I came into the room and there was crabs all over the pile, and I thought, what are they doing? And then when I looked, it was the Helfricki they were all on. So as soon as something goes down, they're going to be on it straight away.
It's just a food chain, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it was £200 meal as well. That wasn't it? They're not cheap, those fish.
Yeah, they're not. That wasn't a cheap meal for them, mate. That's for sure.
Michelin star, that one.
It's a stunning fish as well. I'd love one of those. I think I can't put anything else in because my clowns are horrible. What
are you doing with the clowns, Jay? Are you going to get rid of them? Or
what's the plan? You can't rush anything in this hobby, Ross. I keep saying this. Got to take your time with it.
So that's
there's got to be a video done on relocating the clowns, so that's why they've not been moved yet.
Yeah. I've got to document it all, and I haven't got time to do the videos, then I end up waiting a little bit longer. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get rid of them, Jay. I just don't think you can part with them. You've had them since day one. They're your first fish, and I think you'd be gutted to get rid of them. I know they're beasts and what they're murderers and all that kind of murderer, should we say? I'm not convinced you'll get rid of it.
I think you know what, Paul. You're absolutely right. I'm not going to get rid of them. I can't get rid of them. They are the originals. They were first in. To be fair, they were just being territorial, which is what those sort of fish. Well, that's what those fish do. Yeah. I know I was angry at the time because that was my favourite fish. The flame scooter blenny from all the way from Scotland. Wait, I don't think it was originally from there, but that's where I got it from. Ness's lair was an awesome fish. So entertaining to watch, and I am gutted, absolutely gutted that it's not here. But I can't really blame the clowns for doing what nature, and is instinctive to them, really.
Yeah.
So I've got to keep them, but I'll live for.
So I've still got the female, my very first fish in there, and then I added a male. So that one is nearly 8 years old.
8 years.
And yeah, so that's the very first. So I got that in what was it? That would have been October 2014. So it'll be 8 years old this year. That was the first ever fish.
Oh,
so as much as I don't want the pair of clowns in there, I want to get rid of them. I couldn't. Just like a bit like the cardinals, because I bred those two in his tank. Even though I don't really want them, they're such sentimental. I'm not a sentimental person, but I bred those two, and that's the first ever tank. It's a bit like I got Xenia in the corner. That's my first ever coral that I've had for nearly 8 years as well. I'm not going to get rid of that, but I hate it. But
Xenia, what YouTubers were you watching when you set your tank up for the first time? That's bad advice.
It might have been. Well, I must admit, I don't think I watched many YouTubers. I was on Ultimate Reef, learning all about the hobby on that. There was YouTube, and there were some channels, but nowhere near as many as there are today. I might have watched a couple of videos, but I don't remember 8 years ago being that many on there doing loads of series and stuff like that, and really helping. There might have been a point and shoot. This is my tank. But I can't remember them being, like a 52 weeks of reefing, like BRS and stuff like that. I don't remember there being anything like that.
To be fair, I would have some Xenia if I could control it, because it is actually a cool coral. It does look really cool.
On a rock on it's on a rock on its own, and to be fair, it's nowhere else. And it's surrounded by mushrooms. So because it's surrounded by mushrooms, it can't really spread.
I think it's a really, really nice coral to look at. I mean, when you see it, especially with the pumps off, when you see it, it's sitting there pulsing away, and it looks so cool when you see that. But it's just the risk of it spreading all over your rocks, the only kind of worrying thing. But if you can isolate it far enough away from your main structures, then why not?
Yeah, it's a bit like GSP, cool. Isn't it? People like GSP, but then of course, then that spreads all over the rocks. So you get GSP and Xenia, and they just take over and basically not strangle, but other things just die in their path when they grow out. Yeah, so I think I've seen clowns last. I think I've read about
20 years.
20 years. I was going to say 20 years. Yeah.
Start putting it in your will soon, aren't you? Bloody hell.
So you might need to move the clownfish to the Lego tank.
I know, yeah. 20. You can't live 20 years. Surely that's a long time.
No, I've heard that as well.
Well,
yeah.
There's no comment from Ian saying 10 years plus.
If you had a tank twice as wide as that, you could put fish on the other side and they won't go over there. I find mine don't go any wider
that's the
than 1.5, 2 feet, which is probably about the width of your tank, isn't it? So mine, the only time they go across anywhere near than past about that point now is when it's feeding time. You put food over here, they'll go over there. They don't venture over there at all. There's no point having a 5-foot tank for clowns because it's wasted on.
I think I read somewhere that even in the wild, they've only got a roughly 2 foot square kind of territorial area, and that's them. They'll stick to that kind of 2 foot area.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I went to the Red Sea, they were just sticking in the same place. I didn't really measure it, but they were just around the same anemone when I was.
I had visions of you there with your meter stick or that, measuring them for your geography class. So, that's it.
Won't put it past them, would you?
They didn't move very far. Very far. Probably a bit further than your Bangui Cardinals. They don't move at all, do they? They're just like on the spot.
So here's one for you. For great flow, would you go closed loop only or power heads or both? For me personally, I think you need both. At least you can control it a bit better with power heads as well.
So I would potentially use a closed loop if I was doing a peninsula and it was quite long and I didn't want power heads at the peninsula end, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Because if you get to somewhere like a 6 foot peninsula, for example, if you then got to have a flow at one end, that's quite difficult. The flow right at the 5 foot, 5.5, 6 foot, and I would not really want to have a power head at the other end. So if you had a closed loop, potentially that could then blast some flow into the other end of the tank.
Yeah.
But I probably wouldn't consider it on 5, 6, 7 foot tank where you're going to have power heads at either end. But that's probably when I would consider using the closed loop.
Jay?
I don't even know what a closed loop is.
So basically, imagine this tank here.
Right? I honestly don't know what it means.
You'd have maybe a pipe coming up to about maybe 2 or 3 inches,
Yeah.
The pipe work would go down, and you'd have a return pump.
Yeah.
And it would pull water out the bottom and push water and flow up.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
You'd push flow into the tank. So it does what a power head does, or even what your return pipe does. So the whole point is people do it on really big tanks. They have closed loop in the base of a tank, and it creates more flow into it. And then what they tend to do is you have the pipe coming up, you put a kind of tank across it so the fish can't go down it, and maybe rock work around it, you hide the pipe work.
Yeah.
So it's a way if you did a tank that had maybe glass on, you see some of the ones where you got the weir in the middle and maybe 4 sides where you've got no power heads around it. You might potentially have a closed loop around the edge of that. So therefore your glass is completely clear of power heads. So you might consider using a closed loop. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. I like.
You don't see many of them about because you usually use them on really big tanks.
Yeah, I've not come across it myself, but thanks for explaining it because I didn't know what it was. I was like, what the hell? I like the gyre. I like it when they have the gyres on either end. That's what I like. I think it looks really good.
I know Steve quite likes the gyres, doesn't he? He thinks they're quite good.
Yeah, he's got a gyro. I've seen there was a couple of videos where someone's got a gyro and he's cleaning quite often. So people have spare kit. Was it Nano Tank Reefer? I think it might have been him who's got spare parts. And then because you have to take them out, he just takes it apart, puts the new parts on it, and then he cleans them off because they do need more maintenance. Well, from what I've read and what I've seen, they need more maintenance because they get a little bit gunkier than others, which made sense to have some spare kit and you switch it over.
I haven't actually seen anything from Nano Tank Reefer in a while. I think he was moving house the last time I spoke to him, so I don't know if he's still in the process of that or not. But I haven't seen anything from him
for a long time. So I'm assuming he's moving or has moved.
Yeah, because he used to post every week as well, but I haven't seen anything for a while. So
his tank was lovely, wasn't it?
It was really nice. Both his tanks were nice actually. The small one was nice as well.
I think he's
innovative marine.
I think he's kept that one going, hasn't he? Because it was quite easy to move, whereas the 250 or whatever the other one was. He decided to close it down. I don't know if he sold all his coral or whether someone was looking after the summer coral. I don't know.
Don't know. I also noticed that Haley's in the chat tonight again. She's went and got the Peninsula Mini 15, the same as I've got behind me here. So that looks quite good as well. So yeah. But I think a lot of people are going for smaller tanks now. I mean, either downsizing or getting rid of a tank or just going for a small tank in general. I think the bigger tanks are few and far between.
It's less work. I certainly find the 170 is my favourite tank. It's less work than the other two.
Yeah.
But for sure. So there's definitely, if you're okay with, I suppose, having smaller fish and having a limited amount of rock work to put corals on, then I can easily see why I'd be happy with, say, a Red Sea Reefer 170 and not worry about a 5-foot tank.
So Haley's still got her 525 XL. She's just got the Peninsula Mini as an additional tank. So
nice.
Went extra. But yeah, it looks really good actually. So how are you getting on with your tank breakdown, Paul? Sorry to put you on the spot again.
Is it actually getting broken down? Because it still looks really nice in the background.
Yeah, well, the coals are growing really nice, unfortunately.
It doesn't want to part with it, does it? Have you been told you have to break it down?
I don't.
You've been told
I've got to, because the planning permission's all been agreed and we're looking for builders to do an extension. And as this wall here is coming down, it's going to have to go. So at some point, I've got to get my finger out and get rid of the last of the coals. So I got rid of 20 frags 2 weeks ago. And then I got to frag some more. So it shouldn't be long. But then I was saying that months ago. But do I want to get rid of it? No, I'm quite attached to it. I'm going to have to get rid of some of the fish. I mean, I haven't added any fish to that tank for at least 3 years. And I've got them, it's really stable. I've got a yellow tang that I don't want to get rid of. So what I do with the yellow tang, I could put it in a 3-foot tank, but I don't really want a yellow tang in a 3-foot tank because I will set up a bigger tank, but it might be 6 months, it might be 2 years before I set up a big tank.
Yeah.
So that's the bit it's actually now the corals. I don't care. I've sorted all the corals out. It's the fish. So the fish I really want to keep is the yellow tang. The others are smaller fish. They'll go in the other tank. But and And then
is there anybody that you would trust to look after them for a period of time for you, mate? Maybe till you get back up and running again.
I could do. Do I really trust anyone else? No.
Yeah.
What I could do, I could ask AAC if they want to look after it for me and keep it in one of their holding tanks or one of their coral trays. I don't know if Paul would or not. I don't know, but that's my only option. But it's got to go, because at the moment I'm not doing anything to it. So in a way, it's kind of a bit of a waste, because all I'm doing is turning it over.
Yeah. Can anybody else hear an echo, or is it just me?
I think it's my laptop again. I think it's lost connection or losing.
That will have been another 45 minutes, actually. Yeah, so you're probably right, to be honest.
Let me do another reboot.
Yeah, he's gone, isn't he? So a couple of comments here. There's one from JF McCall I've got on the screen saying he went from a 190 to an Evo 13.5 and enjoying it a lot more now. Is not much effort. The amount of people that I see saying that recently has been, it's phenomenal. Loads and loads of people are going from a bigger tank to a smaller tank and saying they're enjoying it much more. Your weekly maintenance, you're probably down to half an hour just to do your water changes and do everything, because you're only changing. I think actually he replied, let me just have a look. He said, yeah, great, 15-litre water changes using a return pump both ways each week. It's easy. Wow. Just need to keep an eye on the tank and make changes gradually, less margin for error. So yeah, that is it. But yeah, it seems to be a popular way that people are going now. Yeah,
I think also when you're in lockdown, people have more time. Yeah. As we come out of lockdown and people going out and doing other stuff, you've got less time to do that.
Yeah.
And I think a bigger tank is not that much maintenance, but then when you have a problem, you've got to do a water change of 50 litres or 100 litres. That's a real pain to do. So I definitely see why people do that, for sure.
Yeah. There's another good comment here from Haley, actually, saying that she got the water box for her clowns but couldn't catch them, so put some new bang guys in there. Epic fail.
Brilliant.
That was a worthwhile purchase on that one, wasn't it?
So the question is, why did you want to take the clowns out?
That is a good question, actually. Hopefully she'll reply for
I
that.
can understand why you want to take clowns out, because I'm not a lover of them at all, but interesting what you think.
So she said that she had a trap in there for 3 days, but nope, Tang's used it as a feeding station, couldn't get them out.
So always the way, the fish you don't want go in there and vice versa.
Here's a question for you, Paul. Maybe you can answer this one.
Containers, but not intrusive as for living rooms. There appears no room in the cabinet. Well, you do have. There is a there is a tank, isn't there? That's on top on the right hand side.
Yeah, it kind of sits on top of the sump on a little.
Yeah, they do. So whether it's on this one, they've got one, and also on the 170, you've got one. Because my 170 is in the garage, it doesn't matter. I've just got a 25-litre container next to it. In your living room, what I have seen people do is just get, you can get from IKEA or something like that, that maybe match the colour, just a box or some kind of container that you can sit next to it, and then have a container in it, and then have the pump and the tube coming out of it. So you won't know what it is, but it's next to the tank. I must admit, I used the auto top-off system on the 170 for about 2 years, and I found it was okay. The only issue with the Red Sea ones is you end up having to top it up every 4-ish days, depending on what the evaporation's like. Whereas, of course, if you've got a big container, I fill mine up maybe every 10 to 14 days. But I think all you got to do is maybe try and get a bit of, if you're not happy with the stock one that comes with it, then maybe buy a little bit of a piece of furniture that you can then hide it away in that, so you haven't got wires and tubes and an ugly container on show. It's the only thing I can say.
Yeah, I mean, I used a food container for my little tank. I used just a food container there, but okay, it doesn't look great. And then you can get containers made for you, whatever kind of size you want, but it just depends on the cost of that. So
yeah,
realistically, I think what you're saying, I've seen a lot of people it looks like little, I don't know what they're made of. It's like a fabric type box that you seem to see a lot of people get in. They just
like a mini footstool. It's that kind of size.
Yeah.
They're quite a high one. It's probably about 2 foot high, so it's probably not a footstool. But I know what you mean. They're squarish, aren't they? So you could have quite a wide container, but not very high. But really depends.
There's a good comment there. Pets at home tanks will use 30-litre tanks. So as long as you can get, you could buy a cheap little tank and sit it inside something and just use that.
I use I use a salt bucket now. I just put a hole in the top of the salt bucket. the pump is in there. I mean, that's really cheap because obviously it's a leftover salt one, but I wouldn't have it in the living room or anything like that. It's in the garage, so it doesn't matter. But it saves me topping it up.
So Haley's replied as well, saying, "Don't want the clowns in there because they're little bum cheeks. Thought it'd be nice to get them a tank of their own and get them a NEM eventually, but nope, they refuse to move." So actually, on that one, what I will say is I've had my clowns in that tank for, obviously, since I had the tank set up, so it's well over a year now. And the other day, actually, the clowns were trying to host the Duncan, which is the first time I've ever seen them try to do that. And it was actually sitting, it looked like it was sleeping in the Duncan, obviously, but it was just buried inside it, just sitting there, quite the thing. So trying to host the Duncan, which isn't great, I suppose, but...
they host my Duncan because they did it on Torch and they killed a couple of heads on that. They tried the frog spawn. I had to take that out. The Duncans are hosting the Duncans. Unfortunately, the Duncans as good as gold. That seems to be okay with clowns aggravating them all the time. But torches and hammers absolutely hate it. I lost some hammers and frog spawn as well. They really don't like clowns, and it just makes the heads close up and they just die off.
Yeah.
But frog spawn have been okay, fortunately.
Oh, here he is. He's back again.
He is back.
Sorry.
Is he?
I'm really sorry. Is it working?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a delay, mate, but we can hear you.
Yeah. So sorry. I'll get my good wife's laptop next week. Don't worry.
Just on that comment of clowns hosting, Backshift Reef has put on there about clowns hosting a trackie. I've never noticed mine hosting a trackie. What happens to the trackie? Does it retract at all?
Don't know. But what I will say on that one is, Coral Reef Queens. We've had them on the live stream before.
Yeah.
So Jodie actually sent a message through with that the other day to me. Her clowns host their fungi plate that they've got in the tank, quite a big fungi plate, and the clowns host that. And I thought, it just shows you they will host whatever they want to host, really. But the fungi plate seems to be okay with that as well, which I was quite surprised with.
Is that the fungi plate that's actually got tentacles on it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm surprised it's okay with it and doesn't retract.
I know, and it does. It seems to be okay. So
yeah.
There's Haley said the same thing again, that her clowns live in the Duncan, terror the gonies and annoy the tangs. So
they're not afraid of anything, are they? They will stand their ground against the largest of fish.
And it's one of those that every single person that sets up a reef tank for the first time seems to get clownfish. I mean, we're all guilty of it. We've all done it. And it's one of those that they're probably the least friendly fish that you could get, aren't they?
Yes. They're not friendly at all. And then you end up putting your hand in. They start attacking your hand. So they are probably the nastiest fish. Obviously they are damsels, but they're far more nasty than the blue damsels I have. Yet blue damsels have got a far worse reputation than clowns.
Yeah. There you go. Backshift Reefers replied saying, just stays fully puffed up and they just lie in it like a pillow. Did not know that.
On the other hand, they are quite funny to watch. You see people put pictures on Facebook and say, are they supposed to do that when they're hanging upside down? And then when I first got them, they just lay on the sand and they look dead and you go, oh my God, my clown's dead. And all of a sudden it moves and you think you get.
I know. Mine's done that actually. Not long after I got them, one of them was just laying on the sand and I thought, oh no, I've lost it already. And then it starts swimming about fine looking for food and you thought, you bugger.
It's when they hang upside down, it's just bizarre.
Yeah. They do have some really strange behaviour, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So here's a good comment from Howard actually. So he said basically what we said there, clowns are often suggested as good first hardy fish, but seem problematic later on. For a small tank, what else would you recommend as hardy first fish? That's a very good question.
So I put in the Red Sea Reef for 170 was a a neon blue goby.
Oh yeah, that was really nice actually. I liked that.
It's a really nice fish.
Yeah.
Yellow assessor. The only thing with the yellow assessor, it does hide quite a bit, so that spends quite a bit of time in the floating aquascape. So have a look at it and thinking that's actually a bit of a waste of time. But as a hardy fish, that was okay. Cardinals are hardy fish. They're good. Ones that are quite nice that you don't see often, pajama cardinals or ghost cardinals.
Yeah.
So they're two.
Pajama cardinals used to be really popular, and they seem to kind of die away a little bit, didn't they?
I've got a pair in there, and they're as good as gold. Don't do any lovely community fish. They never get attacked. They never attack anything else. They're out in the open all the time. They look unusual. I mean, they're not as good as as some of the wrasse, and not as colourful as some other fish.
Yeah,
but they're nice hardy fish. I'm trying to think what else is hardy fish that I've had.
What chromis, were they good for it?
See, chromis, they can be hit and miss. Other than they turn into sharks like Steve's. But what people do experience, you get 6 or 7 chromis, they end up killing one another off, and you end up with 2 or 3. So they are hardy in as much as they'll survive, but whether they survive one another or not is another thing altogether. So they're hardy, but they do have a habit of picking one another off.
There's a good shout actually from AJ's Reef. Lawnmower blenny, great hardy fish, will also help you through the ugly stage. I've heard a lot of people saying that the lawnmower blenny is a good addition to the tank.
Yeah. Royal Grammar. I've got one of those. That's the one that's pink. No, not pink.
Yeah.
Purple and orange. I found those to be really hardy, and I haven't found them to be aggressive.
There's another one as well. So we've spoken about this before, but they're disappointed seeing people suggesting mollies to cycle tanks. We've seen it suggested more recently on the forums. So there's 2 kind of things with that. If you get freshwater mollies, obviously it's not going to be great. I think a lot of the LFSs are selling saltwater acclimated mollies, and even mollies that have been bred in saltwater tanks. So I know there's a guy up here called Mark, Practical Reefer. He had actually bred some mollies in saltwater tanks. So, if your mollies are breeding in a saltwater tank, they're obviously healthy enough to fight. So if you're getting them from a saltwater tank, or they've been acclimated to a saltwater tank, now I think you do that over a period of like 6, 7, 8 weeks, gradually upping the salinity in the tank as the weeks go on, then it's fine. But I get what you mean. If you go and buy a molly from Pets at Home or something like that and chuck it straight in your tank, it's not going to do well. But I think if you acclimate them, or if they're born in saltwater tanks, then it's not too bad. And a lot of people do use them. Yeah,
I think where the issue is nowadays, and you don't need to do it. Years ago, people used to put damsels in and mollies in to actually cycle the tank. So they'd put them in from day one to help cycle the tank. And of course, you've got ammonia and stuff like that. Which actually you didn't need to do that years ago, because you could take the old way of putting a prawn in and going through the cycle and blah, blah, blah. But now there's no excuse for that. If you've got ATM Colony, you've got Fritz, you've got Dr. Tim's, and all kinds of other ones. There's enough bacteria that you can use to put in a tank to save a fish going through the discomfort to pain of ammonia.
Yeah, definitely.
Surely a freshwater fish being acclimated to saltwater does cause some stress to it, though.
I think with mollies, because where they come from, brackish waters, so therefore
I think
that's the background. So therefore you can take them from fresh water to salt without any harm.
Right, okay, that's understandable then.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen quite a few tanks. There's one, I can't remember the guy's name, but there's a guy on Instagram who's got it's a small shallow reef he's got. I think you sent me a link from Paul. And he's got some mangroves and so on in them, and he's got some mollies in it, and it looks absolutely stunning. But I mean, he's kept mollies in it throughout it, mixed in with the marine fish, and it's a strange sight to see, because I mean, I've came from a freshwater background beforehand, and mollies, and then you come to a saltwater tank and you see mollies, and you think it just doesn't look right with them being in there. But people do use them, and
these tanks look brilliant because they're so different, aren't they? Because you've got deep sand bed. And then he's got loads of seaweeds and algae. So he doesn't tend to, he has a few corals in there, but it's more predominantly really small.
Yeah, it's
fish.
a macroalgae tank, isn't it?
Absolutely. And then you've got mangroves in it, and it just absolutely looks stunning. One, because it looks really good, but secondly, it looks really, really different. And it's not the kind of the usual that you see. And he's got 2 or 3 tanks all lined up, hasn't he? Then he's got kind of spotlights in them. So just the whole setup and the vibe he's got on it looks really good.
I can't for the life of me remember the guy's name as well. That's annoying, but it's a really, really nice setup that he's got. It's it's clean and looks so good. But there's a comment from Russell saying use mollies all the time in quarantine. Personally think they survive better in salt water, had them spawn too. So a lot of people I know have had them spawn and had them breeding in salt water. So obviously it's not, I mean, if a fish is unhappy, it's not going to breed in a tank, is it? So
no.
Yeah. Whether, I mean, you don't know where they came from, but I think if you can acclimate them or you get them from a saltwater tank, then they should be okay.
Yeah. I think it also depends on your setup as well, because people say don't put damsels into tank. Now, damsels are actually the last fish I put in this tank, and they've been as good as gold, and they're still as good as gold. You get the odd bit of dispute because they're very territorial, but there's no way I would put those damsels in early and then put other fish in, because it would just kick off, because they are really I think they're instantly more aggressive than clowns in their territory. But I've got 7 of them and they're just spotted around, but it's a big enough tank that it doesn't worry anything. So I think it's kind of knowing the fish and knowing when to put a fish in and when to not mix certain fish with other fish.
Definitely
on that. But I find on the 170 I've only got about 4 or 5 fish in there. I've got really placid fish, or a pipe fish in there as well. I've got a pygmy hawkfish, and they just chill out. They're out in the open. There's absolutely zero aggression, and I wouldn't risk putting any aggressive fish in there. I wouldn't put the pair of clowns in there, because they just might take a disliking to them. It just sets up the whole calm vibe in that tank. But I think
I'll be honest with you, when I set up this new tank, the 60.2, I'm not planning on putting clownfish in there. I'm not going to put them in, just purely because I've got the 2 in the peninsula there. I don't really need to put any 2 more than that, and I want to have a bit more kind of different, unusual fish in that tank. So I still haven't quite planned out what I'm going to put in it, but clowns definitely won't be on the list.
Yeah, I must admit I prefer smaller fish now. I wouldn't go for bigger tangs. I just wouldn't. They're just not my cup of tea. Yellow tang is probably the bigger tang I would go for, and that's probably the only tang I would go for. Even if I had a 7-foot tank, I would not go for bigger tangs. I'd have I'd have like 30 amphias if in a 7-foot tank or something like that. Because I think
there's something really, really nice about seeing a shoal of fish that move together as a shoal, and you can't beat that. You just cannot beat that.
Absolutely. But then you find, chromis, I've seen some comments in there about, you need more of those. Amphias can be some of those where if you have 6 or 7 of them, they can pick one another off. Yet if you have 15, 20 of them, they've got the survival in numbers, and it's a little bit easier. Yeah,
that'll look incredible. I would love a shoal or a school of fish. It just looks like a natural reef when you see it happening, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It just looks like a wild reef.
Yeah,
if you're out scuba diving on a reef and you're looking at it, there usually is always shoals of fish there. I mean, it's always the one type of fish. There'll be a shoal of that there, and that looks natural. Rarely, if you're ever out scuba diving, will you see the diversity of fish that we keep in our tanks. It just doesn't really seem to happen. So it does look more natural, I think. But for this new tank that I'm setting up, I would absolutely love a Tomini tank, but I just don't think it's the right size of tank. I think it's too small of a tank to put one in.
I would agree.
I'm not going to go with it, because it's just, especially not, it's one of them, I probably could chuck a Tomini tank in there and be fine, but it's one of them, you're on YouTube, you're going to get nothing but abuse for it. And it's one of those that I thought, I'm not going with that. So I'm going to go with smaller fish for in there, definitely.
But there is some really nice smaller fish out there. That are more unusual ones that are really good community fish. Because also you got to think about how many fish you put in there, the bioload. If you load up the bioload, then you got to have more filtration, and then you got more issues potentially around how do you control the nutrients before you put corals in, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Have any of you had feathered dusters? So I haven't had any. Don't know if you guys have.
No.
I had one, and it was about 3. I had it for about 3 years. Just kept it on the sandbed, and I didn't do anything to it. And then one day it just died. But that was 3 years later. I haven't got another one because I thought it didn't. I just shrugged my shoulders at it. I got it and I just thought that was it. It wasn't saying I thought, wow, that's really nice.
Yeah.
So I didn't bother getting another one after that.
Yeah,
It doesn't help, but it was okay. I didn't have a problem with it.
No.
Yeah, so Hayley's got in there about amphias, but funny enough, I've got 2 amphias in there, and they're now trained. They only get 1 feed a day. But when you do have amphias, you have to feed them quite often, and some of the more expensive ones out of Oz, people feed them 7, 8, 9 times a day because they're on the reef. They have small feeds, and if they don't have regular 7, 8 feeds a day, they end up starving. But somehow I managed to get the wreckfish ones, and I've got 2 of them, and I've had those for about 4.5 years, and 1 feed a day, and they're fine.
That would be a problem for me. I mean, I only feed my tanks once a day at night time, and that's it. Because I mean, I'm away at my work early in the morning, and the lights are all off. The fish, there's nothing happening. So I'm not going to come in at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning at the latest and feed the fish. It just doesn't happen. So I only ever feed them in the afternoon when I get home from work at night time, and I physically couldn't feed a fish 3, 4 times, even twice a day. I can't do. I can only do it once a day. So something like that would be ruled out for me, I'm afraid.
Yeah, they do take an investment of time. And of course, if you're feeding the tank that many times, of course, they're not going to get the food that other fish are getting the food. And then the bioload you put on a tank, if you're feeding it that many times, because I know you could say small amounts, but then that's going to be a broadcast feed that goes across all of your fish. That's still going to put a bioload on your tank. But I mean, the amphias are lovely. You get some absolutely fantastic ones, and they do look brilliant in groups. Probably I think more than any other fish that I've seen.
I mean, I actually think if you had a tank that had, a lot of nice corals in it and just a single shoal of amphias, it would be stunning. It'd be really, really nice. But the work that goes into it is going to be quite difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Parker's Reef's got them, hasn't he? Parker's Reef's got them, like the pinkish ones.
Yeah, I think so.
He's got about 10.
There's a guy I know over in West London. He's got it's a 3,000 litre tank, I think 12 foot by 3 foot, and he had 100 amphias in there. And I've seen it a couple of different. The tank is just absolutely super. I mean, it's all about fish for him and not coral. Although he's got loads of softies in there because he just feeds and feeds them. And what a setup is he's got. That's where my vampire tang went because he had plenty of room, 12-foot tank. But when you see them all just swimming around, it's superb. But then if you've got 12 feet, he can feed them how many times a day. He's got the filtration. He'd easily do a 600-700 litre water change, and he's got all the system set up for a higher bioload. And he can have really high nutrients. It doesn't matter because he's only got softies.
Here's an interesting comment, and I've never ever heard of this before, but Economical Reefers said, "My surgeon fish like eating iceberg lettuce. Does anybody feed this?" I have never heard of that.
How do you find out these things? Obviously, just
I don't know.
So you must have seen it somewhere. You just get an iceberg and just throw it in. Just try that.
I'm wondering who accidentally dropped a bit of iceberg lettuce in their tank. What do you have to be doing to drop that in your tank to find that out?
Yeah, it's like experiments.
No, I've never ever heard that.
No, I've never heard it either.
Well, here's another one off Ian. Actually, this is even more interesting. Not tried lettuce, but Benny the Blenny likes the odd bit of boiled broccoli.
Wow.
Okay.
There's we're learning a lot tonight. Actually, I will say.
So how did you know about that? I mean, you wouldn't just think, I've boiled some broccoli. Oh, I've got some leftovers. I'll give it to
the in tank.
Do you think that stemmed from like Christmas dinner, maybe when you were steaming drunk and thought, "I'm going to feed the fish some broccoli," and you just chuck it in the tank, away you go, and you go, "Well, it's worked fine." I don't know.
Brilliant.
I don't know what the hell's going on there.
No, it's
sounds like some people just scrape the plates into the tanks. I don't know.
Like you do the dog bowl, you scrape everything into there.
Yeah, they didn't touch the steak, but they like the broccoli.
I mean, Swarf put there, it's veg is a common thing in tropical tanks. So I used to feed cucumber into my tropical tanks for all the plecos and that, bristlenose plex and so on. I used to feed them cucumber. But
yeah.
I've never ever tried broccoli or iceberg lettuce. That's a new one for me.
Well, tangs do tend to need an algae or kind of vegetables, I suppose it is really a vegetarian kind of diet as well as meaty stuff. So I put nori in there, algae rings and stuff like that. As well as...
on YouTube.
See these YouTubers, they've got a lot to answer for, don't they?
Yeah, you gotta be careful which one.
Anything for a like and a view.
I know.
Yeah. Any clickbait topic, I dare say, that'll be what it is.
I know. There's a couple of comments in here about hard to add fish because you mess up the balance. That is so true. I hate putting new fish in because you never know, are they going to get picked on? Are they going to pick something else? If you put a lot of fish in, then all of a sudden your nutrients go up, especially if you put bigger fish in. When I took my 2 tangs out and rehomed them, my bioload went halved because the amount of no-pox I dosed went from 13 millilitres to 6 a day. So it's really, that's why one of the reasons why I haven't had any more fish to that, because the balance is so nice and you start putting other fish in and you just don't know how they're going to behave. It's such a nightmare. If you've got any fish that's potentially going to be aggressive.
Yeah, I'd love to add another fish, but I'm just too nervous now. Too nervous.
I've just noticed this comment here. This is a good one. Tangs eat bananas as well.
Come on. So is that true, or is that clickbait to get it on a comment?
That's got to be clickbait. Sure.
I've got to question that one. I mean, who in their right mind was sitting eating a banana and thought, wonder if the big tang likes a bit of banana. Let's chuck a bit in there. That's surely, well, it must be, but yeah, there you go. Leaf Sea Forever, they did like the bananas. I don't know.
I just where'd you go after seeing a comment like that? I don't know.
I'm lost on that one, to be honest with you.
Broccoli, lettuce, and bananas.
Yep, it's different, shall we say? There you go, 100% true. Watch Me Lives Reef.
Okay.
That's we've definitely done some learning tonight, haven't we?
Yeah, we've covered quite a bit, haven't we?
Yeah, I learnt loads.
Oh, here's one.
You don't have to buy fish food. You can just go down the fruit and veg aisle and just use that.
So would it be cheaper?
So Tom Reefer on YouTube has just started a Chroma show. Really nice. I'm going to have to look that one up because I don't know who Tom Reefer is. So that's going to be one for me to look up.
Let's add him.
I'm going to look that one up.
So I suppose if you I suppose you get something like as what Haley's got, a Red Sea Reefer 525. So it's a 5-foot tank, a little bit deeper front to back to this. This is a 450. I could easily put, if you had no other fish, maybe 15, 20 in there easily. You got to deal with putting 15, 20 in one go because the bioload goes up. But if you did that as your only fish, put that in first, get that balanced out before you start putting coals in. That wouldn't be too hard because it doesn't matter what the nutrients do to begin with, because you haven't got to worry about your coals, and just had that. Yeah. And then hopefully you've got quite a few hiding places and some rock work. So if any feel threatened, they can all kind of disperse and go into it. If they all just stay together, that would look really good. Because when you think of it, we put the odd fish here. It's a bit hodgepodge, isn't it, in what we choose in terms of fish. We like that one in the shop, and that goes in. And, is there actually a method to the madness? There certainly wasn't for me.
No, and I think we're all guilty of choosing fish that we like the look of rather than properly planning things out, aren't we? I mean, we all go to an LFS. I think we've all been guilty of it. You walk in and you go, oh, that looks nice. And you stand there on your phone Googling it and think, yeah, I can go with that. And then all of a sudden it's in the tank and you go, but late now.
The 170, I purposely got a yellow fish, then I got a blue one, then I got a pink, and then I got a pipefish. I actually had ones with quite bright colours, but all very different colours. But it was based on the colour. One, are they nice and calm? They don't fight. They don't cause problems. And then the colour. And that was a bit different as well. So there's probably a little bit of purpose in what I chose there. But other than that, none of the other tanks have had any purpose around what fish I'm going to get.
I actually just realised I've missed this comment from Julian. This could be a comment of the night, actually. I used to feed nettles in my tropical tank.
Okay.
There you go.
We've ended where we started.
I know. We started on nettle tea tonight, not nettle, not the shop. I'm just going to clear that up. It's not the shop.
Yeah, let's not go back to that.
Nettle tea. Although Adam Boyle sent me a message with the logo of the shop, so I now know what the logo is. So thank you for that one. Yeah, he sent me that. Let me actually just see if I can pull this back up again to show you just before we end this. Where's Adam's
I told you it was a thing. I told you it was a thing. You didn't believe me. That is, yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Netto. So there you go. There's the Netto logo for the shop. But yeah, so Julie used to feed nettles in a tropical reef tank. Interesting.
There we go.
That's nice and cheap.
There you go, Jay. Jay's learned more than students do.
Yeah, always learning. Always learning. I've learned more than my students do.
Well, I think we have we've learned a lot tonight, actually, to be honest.
We've covered a lot. We certainly have.
We're now. You left in the best.
It's gone 10 o'clock.
I know. I'm just waiting on Julie to give us the shout. She's here, so I'm waiting on her just to give us
carry on until she tells us to stop.
Yeah, I mean, if Julie doesn't tell us to stop, this stream will just continue. Wow. That's the way that it works, basically.
Absolutely.
Julie is our unofficial timekeeper.
Absolutely. So yeah, Hayley, you should give that a go. 15 plus promise. Your buy load will probably go through the roof.
I'd love to see that, Hayley. Make sure you share that.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
That'd be.
I think it would be interesting to see that, definitely. Right, where are we at? Let's see if I've missed any comments before we round this off. Best job. I think we're kind of up to date, to be honest with you. So yeah, that is us basically for another night. So where are we next week? Are we with you, Paul, next week?
Yeah, we are.
Looks at the time on text, guys. You missed it. Oh, we've not missed Julie's comment, have we?
Have we?
No way. I'm going to have to scroll back here because I usually don't miss that.
You must display it. Every single one since the start has it.
I'm going back. I can't find it, Julie.
No, Julie, there's not one there.
No, I can't find it. You're let the side down, Julie, I'm afraid.
Slipping.
I know.
Must be all those SPS you got in your tank.
I know. I'm too excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, time flies again, actually. That's been another quick one tonight. So
yeah. Thank you very much, Ross. Thank you.
Next week we're on Paul's channel next week, so be sure to join in on Fish Palace.
And Jay will join for 45 minutes. And
I'll promise to get a better laptop because that's why I stopped talking because I don't know if it's going to start, juddering. Yeah.
I think that's as good as we're getting from Julie tonight. Yeah, it is, guys. So we're not getting the usual. I missed the usual times up, guys, on the Julie front there. So
that is true.
We'll go with that one as that's it. But yeah, thank you very much to everybody for joining again tonight. Hopefully, you all have a good weekend, and we will see you next week.
Yep, have
on
a good
Paul's
one.
channel. So have a great weekend, guys. Thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.